Please stop the bullshit. I'm doing another Wii U port video, I guess, because every time I hear a rebuttal, I'm going to do another video, and I'll keep doing it until the fake ignorance about the backlash on Wii U ports is heard. I don't have the audience a lot of these people have, but for my own therapy, I will continue to talk about this situation because it's very obvious, and the people who try to combat against my arguments, and many other people like me arguments, it's just bogus. It's phony. So, as you guys know, I've complained, and a lot of other people complained about the Wii U port situation, and my argument is mostly nuanced. I talk about when a port seems to be fine, and when I think it's just basic corporate greed. When you talk about a port like Mario Kart 8, I feel it's a little bit different. I felt like it was a justified port, although what it added extra probably could have been added into the Wii U version. But it is justified because they did add a pretty good amount of value to it by giving us a full expansive battle mode. So for me, that port was more justified, but even in that, the main argument against people like me who have the issue with Wii U ports is, well, they keep pointing it out like we don't know how much the Wii U sold. And let me show you this graph, okay? The Wii U only sold 13 million units, okay? So obviously, Nintendo should port these games over because it only sold 13 million. Did I tell you it only sold 13 million? Yes, the Wii U sold 13 million. Did you hear that the Wii U sold 13 million? We understand that shit. Like, we know that. But if you're being honest, you talk about how much the actual games themselves sold. And do they warrant a sequel or just a port? Mario Kart 8 sold pretty damn well. Yes, the install base was small, but it crashed through expectations for an install base that small. I believe it sold around 8 million copies. And guys, understand that I didn't go look a lot of the numbers up. I'm going to be pretty close because I usually go off memory because, it's more authentic to me. But anyway, Mario Kart 8 sold around 8 million copies on the Wii U. And to me, and to the past of any gaming company, 8 million copies is pretty damn good, which would warrant a sequel. Now, while I'm not really upset there isn't a sequel, yes, resources used to make Mario Kart 8 means that we're not getting a Mario Kart 9. Which is what we could have gotten in the first year of the Wii U or the Switch. We should have gotten that because the sales of this game itself warranted a Mario Kart 9. So when you say things like, oh, ports don't affect new games, well, a port of Mario Kart 8 directly affects Mario Kart 9. Will we get Mario Kart 9 on the Switch? It's very possible, but we could have gotten it earlier. And so that is just an outright lie. So you tell me what you would rather have in truth, because like I said, I'm going to call bullshit when I see bullshit. We could have gotten easily a port of this game for the Switch, but we didn't. We got a new Smash Brothers game, so you tell me which is better, a port of this game or a Mario or a Super Smash Brothers Ultimate like we got. I would say Smash Brothers Ultimate was a better way to go. Now, had they used the resources to port this game over, there would be no Smash Ultimate right now. You'd be playing this instead of Smash Ultimate. So don't tell me that resources used to make ports don't affect new games, because they do. And again, with this game, this game is 6 years old, and they want you to pay full price. And people say, oh, you want Nintendo to undercut themselves? They set the market for this game on the Wii U. They set the market for this game at $20. I believe it's $20. What do you call it? The best selling games or whatever. They got marked down to $20. So they set the market for this game. I didn't set it. They could have kept this game at $50 or $60. on Wii U, and then when they brought over a port of it, it would have been a little bit more justified. You'd understand that, okay, well, that's the market they set. But they brought this price down. So when you bring it over to a new console, you should act accordingly. Again, would you rather have a port of this or a sequel to this? A new exciting 2D Mario game? You tell me. And don't tell me that this coming out, and if it does well, and I think it's doing decent, if this comes out, does well, we're going to get another 2D Mario game pretty soon. No, that is going to affect the time that we actually get a sequel to this or a new 2D Mario game. Yes. So, yes, ports do affect new games. And how about this? You guys know this game, Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U. Would you rather have had this instead of this? A new game with a very cool expansion, Torna. So if this had come out and done fairly decent or well or whatever, you think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 would be a thing right now? No. A port of this game coming out, being on the system, is going to affect a sequel. Yes, it does. It's common sense. So let's get to Bayonetta. Bayonetta didn't sell well. So it's justified that the Wii U game be a port of the original Bayonetta, right? I would say yes. That would be more of a reason for them to port that game, because it didn't do well on an install base of 80 million plus, being with the PS3 and the Xbox 360. So there's a game that had the great install base that didn't sell well, and they could have easily said, okay, we'll port this to a new console, the Wii U. These guys, Nintendo fans have never played Bayonetta, so let's just port that game. But did they do that? No, they gave us this. They gave us a sequel. This was way more exciting than just getting, oh, that's the wrong game. But then just getting, because, it came with the original Bayonetta. This is way more exciting than just getting that. And we got that. So would you be happier that the Wii U only got a port of Bayonetta instead of getting Bayonetta 2? Huh? I mean, I just want consistency in your rhetoric, guys. That's all I'm asking for. Consistency. So if you want to act like Nintendo is so meritorious and they're just trying to give these games a chance, which is bullshit, because like I said, the games themselves sold well. They sold well enough for a sequel for sure. So what are you talking about? Now, Captain Toad is a little bit different. I just don't feel like, that it's that you shouldn't waste resources for a Captain Toad, because, it was a fun game. I liked it, but it's just not one of those games that I think would drive sales of a console. So if you're doing that, why not bring new or bring exciting games, ports that would be exciting from the Wii U, games that actually do need to shine, games like Color Splash. It came out and it was not a splash. Now, some people will say, well, the Paper Mario series isn't what I would like, but I feel like because the time this game came out is one of the biggest reasons it did do well. So why not give us that? Or this game. Everybody wants this game, right? This game did not get shine. It was in a really tough time during the Wii U era as far as the sales. I remember that quarter or whatever was abysmal for the Wii U. So this game got, and a lot of other games came out on other consoles, like games like Grand Theft Auto 5, I believe, came out right around the same time as Wonderful 101. So this game got dwarfed. This is a game that needs recognition or needs to be put in the spotlight. Why not get a port of that? Why not put the resources into something like this, which is something a lot of fans really want? Or dare I say this game, Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE. This is a really good game. There's no flaws as far as, this game not selling well. Just the timing of it is what is the reason that this game didn't do well. Obviously, the timing and the console it was on. So put the resources into putting this together, because it does cost money to port games over for Nintendo. Put that money into these kind of ports, and I think you would get a lot less backlash, a lot less people complaining about this stuff. Sadly, we can look at the other companies and say even they're doing it better, which is nothing I'd ever thought I'd see when it comes to Nintendo. Nintendo is usually really good at adding value to their games and just giving their consumers a great value. And so we had on PlayStation 4 not a port of Ico of Shadow of the Colossus. We didn't have a port of that. We had a pretty much ground up remake of this game. And you know how much it cost? Well, how much it was retailing for? $40. And it was justifiable for this game to come out at $50 or $60 because it was a ground up remake. And so it made more sense for that to happen. But they said, no, we're going to put the value at $40. And Nintendo can't do that for games that aren't remakes, that are just straight ports that have added no value to them. Like even the PS3, when it got a lot of these things, there was a lot of complaints about, these HD remasters. But not to so much, because obviously it did add something. It added HD visuals, which was a big thing at the time. It was a buzzword. It was a selling point to have HD. So even ports from PS2 to PS3 were more justifiable, even though in some cases, if you had the right PS3, you could play backwards compatible PS2 games. But that was, those consoles are kind of rare today. So we can move on to, other PS3 games that came to PS4, like Heavy Rain. But here, this is a value because it's both games in one. And yes, they up the visuals and stuff too as well. But that to me isn't the more important thing. They added value to buying this at full price. And I'm not sure this is full price. It might have been $50. I don't think it was $60. I could be wrong, but it's either way, they added value to this because they give you 2 games. So that adds value to port. I don't so much care about ports as I care about valuable ports. So that's. I'm not sure about Last of Us. I don't know if this is a good. Example, because it might have come out at full price. But people complained about this game, and I feel like rightfully so, because it did sell well on the PS3, which would justify a sequel over it being ported. But again, the PS4 in the first couple years didn't have a lot, so this is probably an easy thing to fill up the roster. So I kind of understand it, but. Again, people complain about this. A lot of Nintendo fans did as well. And you want to pull up Borderlands, Handsome Jack. Again, this adds value because it's Borderlands, the prequel, Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 together. And this wasn't a full price release. So again, if you're going to port something, how about porting it with value? And there are games that had significant changes that were ported to multiple consoles that not only were they not full price, but they were way below price, if you will. You have Darksiders War Mastered Edition. They upped this to 60 frames. I don't think the Wii U version is, though. I actually just bought this because I was collecting at the time for Wii U. But, this is a $20 day one retail game. This could have, they could have put this out at $50 or $60, but they said, no, this is a remaster, of a last generation game, and the market will dictate the market being $20. And here we go with Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. This was my game of the year. What was it, 2014? This was my game of the year for that year, beating out Bayonetta 2 even. Love this game. 1.3 million. I think it sold somewhere around that on Wii U. Maybe somewhere around that. And this is a game that I felt needed more shine. And I wasn't upset when I heard it was coming. But they wanted $10 more than it cost originally on Wii U. And I was like, what's up with that? Why is that a thing? That didn't make any sense to me. So I'm like, that's going to actually hurt the sales or the chances of this game doing better had it come out, say, at 40. Or if you're going to put it at 60, why not put in Donkey Kong Country Returns HD or something in there as a package and add the value, bring up the value. So are you against that being a thing? Are you against them having put Donkey Kong Country Returns from the Wii as an HD remaster, as well as putting this game on and making it $60? Are you against that? Because that's a lot of the arguments. People aren't just complaining about ports, they're complaining about the value of ports. And yes, like I said and I proved, these ports do take away from sequels, because if you put out a port and the port does well, you're not getting a sequel to that game, a sequel to the game that sold well enough, beyond well enough to warrant a sequel. So come on, let's be real. Stop the bullshit. Again, did you guys hear me when I said the Wii U only sold 13 million systems? So of course they're gonna bring over their entire roster. Of course. Well, This system here sold significantly less than that. And a lot of people didn't even know at the time, or just after the time, that this system even existed, the Sega Saturn. They were still playing their Genesises, and they didn't really care. It was poorly marketed and just poorly put out. And so when it came time to make the next system, Sega obviously ported over all their Sega Saturn games to this bad boy. No, they didn't. They could have, or maybe they couldn't because the architecture was so different, it made it super difficult. But they could have found a way at that time, I think. And it would have saved them a lot of money probably in some cases. Maybe not. But they didn't say, and the games on the Sega Saturn actually didn't sell well as well. It wasn't just that this console didn't sell well, but the games didn't sell well. So they had even bigger reason to bring over Saturn games, but they didn't do that. And you know what? It made this system a lot better. And yes, obviously the Dreamcast didn't do well. It sold poorly, sold a little better than Saturn, but it sold poorly and Sega was out of the console business. It wasn't because of this system. It was because of the issues that Sega had leading up to the system. This was a great system with a lot of great games that would have never been a thing had Sega just said, you know what, the Saturn didn't sell well. Let's re-up those games. Let's put those games out again instead of giving us great new experiences on here. That's one of the things that makes this system so great. It's compelling new software. And it didn't do badly, or it didn't fail in the market because it didn't bring over Saturn games. So you didn't need to re-up on the games. You need to re-up on the concept of the Wii U. And they did that with the Switch. So you tell me, again, would you rather have a sequel or a port? Because the port will affect there being a sequel. You're not going to get a port of New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe, which is a joke because there's no deluxe about it. You're not going to get a port of that and then get a sequel to it in any timely fashion because you're just putting too many platformers on the market. And we don't want to put a lot of platformers on our market, do we? So these guys who try to rebut me in these situations should stick to just reading the news, reading the facts, leave the commentary, leave the opinion stuff to other YouTubers. And I say that because these guys have a vested interest in your happiness, the viewers' happiness, because it's a monetary situation. Their channel has to do good for their livelihood, and so they're not going to give you the real. When they feel that might turn you off, you might get you upset, you might hit unsubscribe because they're saying stuff that you don't want to hear, that you don't like at the time. That's not always the case. There's some guys who will say whatever, but a lot of times that is the case. They have too much vested interest in your interest to give you their true feelings about something. Their views and their opinions are tainted by their ambitions, and their ambitions are that their channel grow and sustain and continue to be their livelihood. So, and like I said, that's not always the case, but a lot of times that is the case. And so when I hear what I feel is just bullshit about, ports don't affect new games. The fuck they don't. How do they not affect new games? A port of Xenoblade Chronicles X would have directly affected a new game in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and Torna. Tell me how that wouldn't have been a thing. A port of Mario Kart 8 meant we're not getting Mario Kart 9 in the first year or the first 2 years of the Switch. It directly affected that. We may not get a sequel to Mario Kart at all on the Switch. I'm guessing we probably will, but there's a possibility we won't. It's not like Nintendo puts out multiple Mario Karts on each console, because they don't. They usually put out just one. So, and again, a port of Smash Brothers for Wii U, a deluxe or whatever you would call it, would have directly affected us having Smash Brothers Ultimate, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Tell me how that wouldn't. You're gonna tell me Nintendo would have put out 2 Smash Brothers games on one system? When have they ever done that? Never. So don't tell me a port does not affect new games. Do they affect all new games? Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what most of these people are saying. But they do affect sequels. So cut the bullshit. Like, come on. Like, we got Splatoon 2. Had they just ported Splatoon, which do you remember? Do you guys remember all the rumors about how all these ports were going to be? These were going to be straight ports to the system. One of them was Splatoon. Splatoon was going to be a port. Remember that? Do you guys remember that? A lot of these guys who are defending against these Wii U port arguments are the same people who are pushing out all these rumors about a Smash Brothers Wii U port, a Splatoon Wii U port, and all this stuff. These were the same people. They had their sources and all these people who were telling them that all these ports were going to, these deluxe versions of Wii U games were coming. And in some ways we got them. But, certain games like Splatoon, and Smash Brothers were actually sequels, which is a good thing because I would rather have them be sequels. I'd rather have all the cool stuff that's in Smash Brothers Ultimate that we got in instead of having just a port of the Wii U game. So that is a good thing. So don't act like there is no argument there to be held. Now, if you're a gamer who has stock in Nintendo, I can see you making the argument for just bring over all this stuff and just, keep your price costs down and your development costs and all that stuff, keep it down just by porting all this stuff over. And that makes me a happy camper as an investor. If that's you, I have no qualm with you. But if you are a longtime Nintendo fan who, like me, who's had a Wii, who's had a Wii U, and now has a Switch, and you're going to sit here and tell me this is all good and fine, I call bullshit. I don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Your ambitions as a YouTuber is affecting your real opinion on these matters. So just stick to reading the news. Leave the opinion stuff to people who don't have any conflicts of interest when it comes to talking about this stuff. Because I don't. I was over 5,100 subscribers at one point. Now I'm under 5,000. And I can live with that. I mean, it kind of sucks, but I'm cool. I'm here to tell you how I really feel, not what you want to hear. So, not all of that is because I've gone against the grain on some of this stuff. I've pissed off some Nintendo fans by telling them the truth. Some of that has to do with YouTube's policies, the new policies and, how they've been affecting smaller channels, and even bigger channels have had problems. So I'm not saying it's all because I'm telling you this stuff. If you look back a year ago when I was still riding high, I was still feeling very excited about the potential of the Wii U. I was excited about the Joy-Cons and all the stuff that they could do. You can see that those videos were, hitting 2,500 plus views. And in 2018, it kind of dived because Nintendo's output and Nintendo's ingenuity dived for me. They started putting out these games that weren't really done yet, that they added new content to for free, but they weren't really there yet. Kirby was a disappointment to me. I was super excited for Mario Tennis. It turned out to be a disappointment to me. And so some of my excitement waned. And I guess people's excitement for my channel waned a little bit too. But like I said, it has something to do with YouTube's policy as well. So yeah, so I'm just, anytime I see a video that it may not be directed directly at me, but it's directed at my opinion of the Wii U port situation, I'm going to rebut it. We can do this back and forth over and over again. I will come with facts and you'll come with what I feel is corporate fanboy ignorance. I just don't believe some of the arguments against, people like me and what we're saying. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching and listening, and see you fools next time. Peace out, and stay real. Stay real. I tend to want to demand greatness, for the the Switch. I want, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Peace.